Okay, so I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I understand that sometimes people aren't here, so I really appreciate you coming out.
Wait, can I do something?
Sure.
After you, what's that thing called? I just want to say how, thank you so much for coming, because you missed the tech guy, the nephew's tech guy, to be here.
My nephew has seconds right now at Latrun, joining the Israeli Army.
Oh.
So,
Thank you
thank you for being here, Beit Shemesh. It's definitely worth it to be here. I've heard amazing things about you guys, and those people I've met so far, really, really, really impressive group. So thank you. So this particular class, which some of you may have heard the concept before, but I've customized it a little bit, is called the 5 Levels of Pleasure. It was developed by Rav Noach Weinberg, based on Pirkei Avos. Yes, question?
Do you care if I record?
No, not at all. Do we wait?
No,
okay. So this class called 5 Levels of Pleasure. The premise is that Hashem wants us to be happy. Hashem is all-powerful. He has no needs. He created the world for us to enjoy. But instead of just saying it's a mitzvah gadol, it's a mitzvah to always be happy, he said, I'm going to show you how. I'm going to actually give you instructions on how to be happy. And there are actually 5 different levels of pleasure. It's sort of like an airplane. If you ever fly first class on an airplane, so, the seats can be pretty nice. Internationally, some of the seats turn into beds. Yeah. If you ever fly Dubai Airlines, I would not recommend it. They actually sponsor Hamas. They might kill you. But on Dubai Airlines, each first-class passenger gets their own private cabin bathroom. How's that for first class?
Wow. Their own bathroom?
Yeah.
Yum.
Now, what about second class? What do they call second class on an airplane?
Economy.
Not yet? Business, right? They don't say second class. No way. Business class, Sounds very impressive. What about third class? And you got economy, another euphemism. Sounds like you're smart with your money. Fourth class, figure with the baggage and the animals, been there, done that, long story. Fifth class, imagine they throw a rope out the window and they say, hang on. You're going like, whoa! When it comes to the pleasures in life, sadly, most people spend their entire lives only running after fourth and fifth class pleasure. That means many people go through life hanging on by a rope. And sometimes when things don't go well, they let go and they commit suicide. So the goal of this class is to identify what are the 5 levels of pleasure and how can I upgrade my life from fourth or fifth class to third, second, or maybe even first. A few rules you have to know. Rule number 1, there is virtually no exchange rate between the pleasures. What do I mean? Anyone here been to Poland before?
Yeah.
So if you go to Poland, and things may have changed since I was there. I've been a couple of times. When I was there, when you would exchange an American dollar for the Polish zloty, $1 bought you roughly 27,000 Polish zlotys. It was a joke. Monopoly money's worth more than that. That's not money. There's no exchange rate. Same thing here. Fourth class pleasure is so much better than fifth class. You will happily trade away lots and lots of fifth class for just a little bit of fourth class. Okay, rule number 2. Just like with money, there's real money and counterfeit money. And the counterfeit money might look real, but it's fake. When it comes to the pleasures of life, there are real pleasures and there are counterfeit pleasures. And the counterfeit pleasures may look like they're going to make you happy, but really they're going to hurt you. So we'll try to identify those as we go through them. And rule number 3, every decision in life is a trade-off. Do you focus on what you do have or what you don't have? Is the glass half full or half empty? And we'll try to appreciate that as well, because that can really determine how much you enjoy even a great experience. If you're thinking what you don't have, you really could lose out. And before I tell you what fifth class is, I just want to warn you. Sometimes when I tell people what fifth class pleasure is, they say, what? No way. There's no way that's the bottom of the 5. You're telling me I'm going to give up lots and lots and lots of that for just a little bit of fourth? Not possible. Until you hear what fourth class pleasure is. So that's to be patient and wait, and then you decide. Fifth class pleasure is physical pleasure. Anything that involves the 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, hearing, and sight. Can anyone think of an example of physical pleasure? Food. Food. What a surprise seminary girl answer. Okay, so Food, that's also, someone's also going to enjoy. But let's take food. Physical pleasure. Excellent. And by the way, Hashem wants us to have it. So much so the Gemara says, when you get to Olam Haba, one of the first questions Hashem's going to ask you, did you ever walk by a fruit tree that was public and not take the fruit off the tree? And if so, I want to know why. Why didn't you enjoy my world? Hashem will actually get the task for not enjoying ourselves physically. That's how much He wants us to be happy. So physical pleasure, absolutely, Hashem wants that. It's not like some cultures and some religions that say, suffer now so you can eventually have Olam Haba. No, we say, have Olam Haba and Olam Haba. Hashem wants us to have it all. So physical pleasure, it's great. Now, what's the counterfeit of physical pleasure? Let's say with food. So you think it's going to make you physically happy, but really it's going to physically hurt you. What would be an example?
You get that.
What kind of food?
Carbs.
Ice cream, right? Donuts. Let's say kosher Dunkin' Donuts. So when some people go and they get one donut, they get two. When I go in, I get like 10. So when you have the first donut, it's physical pleasure. Second one, third one, something to expand, also not pleasure anymore, right? Your tongue is still telling you it's pleasure, but it's really pain. So it's a net loss in pleasure, not a net gain. That's why it's a counterfeit. What would be another example of a counterfeit physical pleasure? Something you think is going to make you physically happy, but is really going to physically hurt you.
Money?
What?
Money?
Well, money could be used for good or bad, depending on how you use it. But it's not inherently counterfeit or genuine, depending on how you use it. Most something that inherently is going to hurt you physically, even though you think it's going to help you physically, or some people think.
Not being sure yet.
We're going to say that one thing that might be a higher level, counterfeit. What?
Smoking.
Smoking. Okay, so you probably don't know about this in your seminary, but there are other places where people do things like drugs or things like that. It's spelled D-R-U-G-S. So when it comes to concepts like that, I'm going to suggest that this is not what happens. Okay, you got two guys, and the first one says to his friend, hey, how would you like to kill some brain cells, shorten our lifespan? That sounds great, let's take some drugs, right? That's probably not the conversation, right? It's more like, come on, let's get a quick fix. They're looking for pleasure, looking for that high. But really, the down outweighs the high, so it's a net loss in pleasure, not a net gain. Therefore, it's a counterfeit. Okay, but real physical pleasure, it's great, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, but it's the bottom of the five. Let me just think of an illustration. Okay, what's your name? Elian. Elian, let's say you were to skip class one day. Okay? And you decide you're going to go to the nearest pizza store. How far is the walk?
Like right here.
So, 3 minutes?
Like, yeah. 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
So Elian goes for a 2-minute walk. Now, you don't want to bring attention to yourself that someone should figure out that you're skipping class. So you leave your bag here, leave your books here, leave your jacket here. Halfway to the pizza store, all of a sudden, the clouds come out. The weather changes drastically, and it starts to snow. And within a minute, Elian is like Snow White. She's freezing. She starts to regret going, why did I do this? I'm going to get sick. I'm going to catch a cold. I'm missing the class. I'm going to get in trouble. The food's not even that good. It's not worth it. You finally get there. You start eating the pizza really quickly, just like throwing it down your mouth and thinking the whole time I got to walk back in the freezing cold. And you start walking back, and the whole time you're walking back thinking, this is the worst day of your life. Now let's rewind. Right. Well, it was also in the pizza store itself. Now let's rewind. Same Elian, same skipping class, but same surprise blizzard in the end of April. But this time, when it starts to snow, Elian goes, wow, it's snowing. I love snow. And now I'll get more exercise. And I'll appreciate the hot food coming out of the cold. And I get to miss the boring class. And she gets to the pizza store. She makes a bracha, slowly takes a bite, savoring the taste. And you're just focused so much on the food, every single bite, focused on it, enjoying it. And the whole walk back, how great the food was, and when we notice the snow, the best day of your life. For one person, it was heaven. For the other, it was Gehenna. You decide how much you enjoy your experiences based on your perspective. Glass half full or half empty. All right, so that is physical pleasure, 5th class. We are now going to go up to 4th. 4th class pleasure is emotional pleasure. Something like love. Okay, Muhammad? Let's say someone was to go to your parents and says, we will have to give you $10,000 cash. All we ask for in exchange is Muhammad. We'll never see her again. What do your parents say? No, hopefully, right? Now there are always people whose parents actually pay to get rid of their kids, But hopefully everyone in this room, our parents would say no. Not 10,000, not 20, not 50. Because even if you could buy a lot of physical pleasure for $50,000, you cannot buy a loving relationship. Emotional pleasure trumps physical pleasure. Now, the counterfeit of love, will you tell me? What is the counterfeit of love? Someone's looking for love, but what they're getting is not real. What's that called?
Fake.
What's the word for it? Infatuation. Right? When you think you're in love, and you're really not. Now, I have a newsflash for you. Don't want to break any hearts here. Most high school relationships are based on infatuation. And what happens? You often have a friend that say, girl's going with a guy, and you know he's using her. You know he's not really interested. And you say to her, you should break up with him. And what does she say? Oh, but we're in love. And like, there's nothing you could possibly say to get her to change her mind. That is not love. That's infatuation. People have been hurt. People have been traumatized for life. So I want to make a humble suggestion. If you're currently single, I'm not looking to break anyone up, but if you're currently single, currently, yes, no, if you can wait to date for approximately 1 month.
1 month on your watch?
Yeah, it's a very cool watch. A lot of features. If you can wait 1 month, potentially I'm invited back. I will be giving a class on how to find your soulmate, on how to find the guy that God chose for you. Now, if you're already involved in a relationship at that time, it's very hard to be objective. You could have your soulmate walk in front of you, you won't even notice him. But if you could be objective and free and focused, then yes, you could learn from Hashem, from the Torah, the one who chose who the guy is, how to best find Mr. Right. Okay, so that's just a suggestion. Then you don't have to worry, right? Then you don't have to worry about it.
I'm not meeting anyone.
And you know, the time to worry though is when you think you might be, and but really not. You know, that's the fake infatuation. That's where the trouble comes. That's when you can learn the formula from the Torah. There's no guarantees in life, but it definitely increases the chances of finding that special someone. Okay, so that's fourth class pleasure, emotional pleasure. It's great, it's wonderful, beautiful, but it's still only number 4. Third class. Third class pleasure is meaningful pleasure. It's doing the right thing. Let's think of another example. All right, Honey, we'll pick on you for this one. Honey, let's say you decide you're going to skip out of class one day also, hypothetical. But instead of going to the restaurant, you decide you're going to go to the beach. Separate beach. So Honey's at the beach, and you've got a utopian scene going on. The waves are coming in just right. The breeze feels perfect. You have music in the background. You're holding a drink, non-alcoholic, of course. And everything is wonderful. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a helicopter comes flying overhead. Out jumps Osama bin Laden back from the dead. Takes in a big gun and says, Honey, I've been watching you. She's like, ah! He goes, Honey, you have 2 choices. Choice 1, I turn you into 100 pieces right now. Obviously a bad choice. Choice 2, you get to live on condition that you blow up the state of Israel. Now let's pretend you can't run, you can't hide, you can't fight back. Either you die or everyone in Israel dies. What do you choose? Excellent. I don't mean that's in different feet. I mean it's a good choice, right? Because to go on living, having murdered millions of innocent people, that's not really a life. And therefore we give up our lives, all of our physical pleasure, all of our emotional pleasure, to do the right thing. Meaningful pleasure trumps emotional pleasure. Now the counterfeit of being good is trying to look good, to make other people think that you're good. You know, like someone never gives tzedakah. When everyone's watching, check me out, right? Or someone like playing chicken with the train tracks or Russian roulette, trying to look cool. What they're finding is very empty. It's a counterfeit of meaningful pleasure. All right, quick review. What's 5th class pleasure? 4th class. 3rd class. Okay, watch this. Imagine right here, you're at a construction site. The first guy is shoveling and lifting. And you ask him, what are you doing here? He goes, me, I'm a bodybuilder, working my muscles. What kind of pleasure is he getting? Second guy, shoveling, lifting. You ask him, what are you doing here? He goes, me, I get paid to be here. It's for my family, my love. What pleasure is he getting? Third guy, shoveling and lifting. You ask him, what are you doing? He goes, me, I'm a volunteer building an orphanage. What pleasure is he getting? Isn't that cool? 3 guys going through the exact same experiences, totally different pleasures, based on their goals, based on their perspectives. The 4th guy is shoveling and lifting, and you ask him, what are you doing here? He says, me, I'm the architect of the project. 2nd class pleasure is the power to make a difference. To make a difference in someone's life, or to make a difference in the world. No. You're out? You single now? Take my advice. All right. Mirel, let's pretend there's a guy out there who is like your dream guy. Right? He has everything you ever wanted in a guy. Right? He is kind, sweet, attractive, wealthy, excellent midos. I mean, he's got it all. Yeah, we'll call his name Shlomi. Okay? So, Mirel, you got this.
It's from Miriam.
Okay. So, Mirel, you had one, I don't want to mispronounce it. So, you have this guy, and everything's great. There's only one problem. He never notices you. Like, you be like, you're like, and he's like, just don't notice you. Sometimes dreams are just dreams. That's what happens. One day, you get a phone call. Shlomi's on the phone. He says, Mirel, do you want to go out tomorrow night at 9 o'clock? Now, Mirel wants to play it cool. She's like, let me check my schedule. She would give attention, she had a schedule, start making noise with paper or whatever, and she's like, tomorrow night, okay, I think I can make it. Right? You hang up. Immediately, Mirel's back on the phone, guys, get the lights, let me go! Right? You go to the mall, shopping spree, predate Facebook photos, makeup and hairdo, and everyone's talking about it, Mirel and Shlomi sitting in the tree. I mean, it's like big news. It's like, nice to remember. So Mirel is heading out for the big day, and you got your beautiful new outfit on. You got your hairdo, like this, and I mean, it's really, really exciting. And I think you have to be on time. Okay, if you're late, you miss a date because you got like a limo waiting to go to a helicopter, to Paris, the whole thing. It's really, very classy guy. So Mirel is making sure to be on time. She's eating a little bit early. Now to get, you have to walk by this like swamp-like muddy area. It's like very gross and smelly. And Mirel's being very, very careful not to fall in. No one's around. All of a sudden, you see in the swamp-like water is a guy drowning. He says, "Please help me, help me." You realize if you help him, you miss your date. You go on your date, he dies. What do you do? So Mirel says she's going to help him. So she holds her nose, she jumps in. Now it's very thick. So you're like slowly going through. You finally get to him. CPR, first aid, paramedics, police coming in for like 2 hours. Your clothing reeks. You go back home, you take like 10 showers. You send your clothes to a detox plant. And you go to sleep that night knowing you just missed your date. But you also go to sleep knowing you just saved a life. One of the great ways to know how good a pleasure is how long does the good feeling last afterwards. If you have a good physical pleasure, a good steak, a good salad. So how long does the pleasure last? An hour, 2 hours, maybe a day if it's like really good dressing or something. You save someone's life, the pleasure lasts a lifetime. The greater the pleasure, the longer the good feeling tends to last. Second-class pleasure is the power to make a difference in someone's life or to make a difference in the world. If you have children, create life, become godlike, that's second-class pleasure. You can also get it every day. If your friend is feeling down and you smile at them and boost them up, that's second-class pleasure. Now, the counterfeit of making a positive difference in the world is making a negative difference in the world. Hitler wanted to change the world. He did change the world in a negative way. When you insult someone, embarrass someone in public, that's a counterfeit, second-class pleasure. But real second-class pleasure is very powerful. All right, we're now ready for number one.
Yes.
First-class pleasure is connecting with the author of all the pleasures.
God.
Connecting with the infinite, connecting with the divine, connecting with God. All other pleasures in the world are finite. Only a relationship with God is infinite. Now, here's one of the cool things about Judaism. You can have all 5 pleasures at once. Let's take Shabbos or Shabbat or Shabbat. So you have great food, nice clothing, physical pleasure. Friends and family together, emotional pleasure. Doing the right thing, meaningful pleasure. You invite guests over, you have second-class pleasure. And finally, 25 hours connected with your Creator, first-class pleasure. Going to 7 for a year, all 5 pleasures at once. Great food, great trips, physical pleasure. You make friends that last a lifetime, emotional pleasure. You're doing the right thing, meaningful pleasure. You volunteer with orphans, Ethiopians, make a difference to a second-class pleasure. And finally, take 1 year to think about who you are as a Jew, what your purpose is in this world. Why did God create you? What unique talents and gifts do you have to give to this world? It is the ultimate first-class pleasure. You can have it all. Questions, comments, concerns?
Count me in.
Again, it's so cool because you don't have to sacrifice something to enjoy. Hashem is saying you could have it all. Take the physical and uplift it to the spiritual. and try to choose experiences that have all five at once. But if you ever have a choice tonight, let's say, and one option is only a physical experience, and one is an emotional or meaningful experience, then now you know, okay, I'll have much more pleasure choosing that one. It's also important to realize that even people that do selfless things or choose to give to others, we're still all motivated by making ourselves happy. Meaning Hashem created us with a desire for happiness. But what measures someone's level is what makes you happy. Do you become happy by having that steak, or do you become happier by helping other people and changing their lives? What defines us? I remember once a guy who was challenging the concept, saying, no way, I don't do anything for myself, I'm totally selfless. And I said, are you sure? I said, yeah, and I'll prove it to you. And they had in the room, there's one of these heaters that had like a fire in the heater. And the guy said, if I put my hand into that heater and burn my hand off, would that prove to you that I'm not really interested in being happy? And the rabbi said, all that would prove to me, is that you think you'll be happier proving me wrong than having your hand. Right? That's all you're doing. You're just basically saying you're making a decision that you'll get more joy out of proving wrong than having your hand. But you're still making decisions based on what makes you happy. We're all programmed to do that, to make decisions based on what makes us happy. The key is to actually choose the things that really will make us happy and not make mistakes like that guy and put his hand in the fire. Okay. I want to thank you so much for your time. So, Hatzlacha, that everyone should find the best thing for them next year and should all become the best yous that you can be.